Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing this so-called digital wallet, digital handout, digital money, whatever you want to call it. Let me go ahead and get into it. I thought of making this video after reading a recent article from the Bangkok Post, bangkokpost.com. Article is titled, Jatuporn Wallet Policy, quote, could inflict fatal wounds, unquote. Quoting directly, he being Thanatorn Juanggrung Gruang Kit, the head of the progressive movement, suggested that the money earmarked for the handout policy would be better spent revamping public transport, public health, water management, environmental protection, and the education system. Yeah, it's been clear, if you've been watching my channel, I've been highly critical of this whole digital wallet, digital money thing. First of all, because I have huge issues with this notion of digital money. I think this is a Trojan horse. I think it will ultimately undermine the freedoms of Thai people. I think it will result in the mass surveillance of everyone's business transactions, which honestly, there's nothing wrong with privacy. You know, I understand law enforcement's perspective where, you know, yeah, they want to know everything about everybody so that they can enforce the law. Well, you know what? That's scary as I can ever imagine. That's a terrible idea, you know, mostly because, as we saw with COVID, things that were perfectly acceptable behavior one day were anathema to polite society the very next. So again, privacy is a reason or a way to mitigate against some of the worst aspects of groupthink and human nature, I would say. That's one of the reasons I'm very much a proponent of privacy. But the other one is, you know, I don't really subscribe to the notion that anyone should have this sort of all-seeing capability with respect to people's personal transactions. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and I think it's a bad idea just generally. But setting that aside, on top of that, and I want to be very clear when I say this, I don't want to sound unsympathetic to people who've had a far harder time the past few years than I have had. You know, and at the end of the day, the reason people had a hard time, in my opinion, is because the governments of the world lost their minds, shut down all of our economies, and didn't let us get on with our lives, which brings up the question, did they even really have the right to do that to begin with? That's a question for another video, so let's leave that where that is. But long story short, the reason people are having a bad time is, at the end of the day, to, you know, to sort of invoke the spirit of Ronald Reagan and his, you know, government is not the solution to the problem, government is the problem. The government shut down all of our economies. The solution to that is not super surveillance money, you know, or internet money that can be surveilled. That is my only point. That said, I am sympathetic to people that have had a hard time, and I find it laudable that the incoming government is trying to do things to help people. But I often wonder if a handout is the best way to go. There were a lot of handouts in America during the whole COVID lockdown thing, and it's had a massive detrimental impact on, in my opinion, both the economy and society over there. It's resulted in a lot of, quite honestly, what's the right word? Just people having the wrong mindset about living their lives. Quite honestly, the last time I saw it was when I went to Russia in 1999, and I watched how it took a great deal of time for that country to sort of de-Sovietify in terms of its mindset, in terms of people knowing that, hey, you got to kind of hustle to make your money. You got to work. That's the way sort of market economics, that's how it operates. And we had a lot of that mitigated, I think, in the United States by giving out just quote unquote free money, which now people are realizing isn't free, causes inflation, down the road causes all kinds of unforeseen problems. Again, same deal here. One, I don't think it's the government's place. I'm not a Keynesian. I don't believe it's the government's place to intervene in the economy directly, although in certain instances I've seen where it works here in Thailand. Again, Thailand is unique. But that said, a handout is something very different, and I don't like it. I don't like the idea that anyone here in Thailand needs a handout. You know, we're going to get on with it. We're tough. You know, Thais are, at the end of the day, kind of the embodiment on an individual level of rugged individualism. You want to ever see rugged individualism, go down and look at the woman running a street cart selling khao man gai on the street here in Thailand. That's a rugged individualist for you. And quite honestly, I think providing a handout hurts that mindset. It hurts that whatever, that spirit that people have to just get up and get on with it. Now, again, people who truly need help need to be helped. But again, there are alternatives. And as we've discussed, there's been a huge debt increase that they've talked about in connection with this that does not now seem to be a priority. But again, who knows? We'll see what we see. But again, things like public transport, public health, public, water management, environmental protection, and the education system, they could use some assistance perhaps. Again, people that truly need help, if the government figures out a plan to help them, I'm never going to say that's a bad thing. But I think it's very rational and prudent to question, the notion of a handout in and of itself and whether or not that's good for society to be going around just handing out money. We can look at the West and see what the ramifications of just handing out free money is. It ain't good. Meanwhile, this digital money scheme in and of itself is frightening at an Orwellian level. And then on top of it, there may be other places where this capital could go to improve Thailand more. So all of these are good questions. I don't necessarily have the answers, but at the end of the day, we will keep you updated on this channel as the situation evolves.